Hi guys, and welcome to this week's Macro Monday. Okay, this week I thought we'd take a close look at the tips of pencils. Actually, coloured pencils to be more precise. And if they come out any good, then I might upload them to Shutterstock. It does work, it's good fun. Get out and do it. Okay, so I'll get something set up with these pencils and I'll come back to you. I'm going to keep some very simple this week, using a white background because I think that will suit the coloured pencils. The colours will really show out on the white background. So I'm going to probably choose the most bright colours. So I'll work with these four main colours, and we'll see what we can do with the macro lens. Put this some sort of fashion and see if we can get really nice and sharp on the very tips of these pencils. Maybe a bit of depth of field, get sort of the first one really sharp and sort of blend it away on the other tips. And then maybe get elastic band, put it around quite a few and see if we can get all the tips in a nice sharp image. So I'll get the camera set up and I'll come back to you. We set the camera up and we're looking right down on top of the image this time. Now, because this is a 100mm lens, I actually need to be up off the table quite a bit. So I've actually got this tripod extended to its full height, but with this tripod, it actually the centre bar comes out and it pivots. So it's really handy for this sort of stuff, which means you can have your camera right over the top and you can basically set it to wherever you like. So it's quite a handy tripod for that, and it's a good sturdy one as well. So I've set the tripod up. I've arranged the pencils just so as they're in like a ladder sort of formation, just going up one of the cross lines on the back of the screen. And I focused in really tight on the tips of the pencils and they're coloured pencils, so the little bit of wood that you can see at the end of the colour, I'm getting that sort of really sharp. I'm using the focus peaking again. Really do recommend using it if you've got it. It's a fantastic thing to use, and it means that you haven't got to get right over the camera and look through the hole and sort of eye it all up. You can use the back of the screen, use focus peaking and really get it sharp. Everything starts to glow. In this case it's white. I think on the Nikon I think it's red, but on this one it's white. It starts to glow, and then you can, I've set it on a 12-second timer this time. There's no table and there's no mat, so I'm going to give it a 12-second timer. Because it's out over the tripod, I can give it 12 seconds as it really does settle down, and then we'll have a look at the image. Very straightforward image, 4 pencils lined up in a step formation, tips nice and sharp, and that's the image on a white background, and that's it. So I'm going to do a straightforward normal image, and this time I'm going to use the pixel shift because I had quite a few comments of people saying that they were really impressed with the pixel shift. So I thought that this time I would put up the comparison of the two. The 12-second timer again, but this time we'll be using the pixel shift, so it'll take the 4 pictures, blend them together, and you should get an image that's, so say, 4 times sharper. So I'll go to work on them in Lightroom, and I'll put up both images side by side, and you tell me whether you can see any difference, because I can't a lot of the time. So yeah, that's the first little image. This may well be some sort of stock image. I may put it forward to stock. Everything and anything image wise they're interested in. But if you want to know the ins and outs of stock photography, I've learned all my stock photography tips and tricks from Rachel Lurch, and I'll put a tip to I won't put a tip to her channel, I will put a link to her channel up here. If anybody knows anything about stock photography, it's her, so go and check her out. She can put it across much better than I can, so go and check out her version of how stock photography should be taken. But I'm doing alright, so I'm going to rearrange these now Not really sure how. I'll have a play about and I'll come back to you. I've left them in the formation that they were, but what I've done is I've drawn a faint blue line on the paper, and I've lined the tip of the blue pencil up with the end of the line, like it's drawn it by itself. So I'm going to try and see if I can get that line going to the edge of the pencil nice and sharp, using the pixel shift again, because I do think if you've got it you might as well use it. And hopefully, with a bit of Lightroom magic, let's have a quick check on that one. Check the image. Always check your images because you don't want to get all set up or all put away and then realise that actually they're not as sharp as you thought they were. Oh my. Whoa. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. I'm really happy with that one. That is super sharp. Absolutely super sharp. Really, really pleased with that one. So yeah, I really like that one. Really good. So yeah, I'll try one more sort of formation and then I'll come back to you. I'll take another image and that'll probably do it for this week. So I'll see you in a second. I'm going to try and show you the focus peaking function on this camera, because the way I've got it at the moment, it really shows it up. So what I'll do is I'll set it now, so because I won't be able to do both, I don't think. How am I going to do this? Because my tripod for this camera that I'm talking to you on isn't big enough, but I need this one up high enough to focus on it. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to hold you over the camera and I'm going to carry on talking, and I'm going to explain what I'm doing. So hopefully this sort of makes sense and sort of works. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just show you looking over the top as we go. So here we go, hang on a sec. Right, now I will try to hold this as steady as I can so as you can see what I mean. But you'll see as I focus, you'll see that like the points go really sharp and bright. And if you push the focus further down, you'll see that as it goes down, the other bits get bright, like the tops of the pencils get bright. And then it starts to work its way down the actual pencils, and then everything goes out of focus. So to bring that back up, this is how you get things in focus with the focus peaking. Now you see the focus is on the edge of the colours, and then if you can bring that right to the tip and light those tips up, those tips of the pencil should be nice and bright and sharp. I hope that's kind of worked for you and you get the idea of focus peaking. I'll put you back in the stand. I'll bring you back over so you can see what we're actually doing. There you go. And then I'll use the focus. I've used the focus peaking, as I said. I use a pixel shift again as well. I'm just going to rearrange these back to how I wanted them. I did have them set up so they were even. Okay, so with a bit of messing about, I've gone to F9, and that's given me half a second on the shutter. I'm using the 12-second timer. I'm using the pixel shift, but we are literally pinpoint on the tips of them pencils, and then I'll bring the camera down. Didn't use the pixel shift, did I? I'll bring the camera down and then we'll get it at a slight angle looking at the tips and see if we can get a bit of depth of field with the first one or two maybe being in focus, going out of focus as we go through the pack. And there's pixel shift. It might give it quite a funky look, I don't know. I'm just playing about, but with digital cameras you can do that. Okay, so I've set up here the composition and I've got the stack of pencils at the very front edge of the paper, so it gives me that white background. Because I stood up, the paper is obviously long ways, so when the camera's looking down it's looking across the white paper, You ain't got to worry about big cloths and stuff like that. So anyway, I've got the first one, which is a yellow and green pencil. I focus those two. There's a red one as well there right at the front. I focus the very tips of those three pencils to be the sharpest points. They're set on the right hand third. They're just clumped together. I've clumped them together with a hairband that I borrowed from my daughter's bedroom. And it's just got a white background, set of pencils, not in any particular order. I'm going to pixel shift. The camera does seem to want to keep turning it off, so make sure it's on. I'm at F9, so I want to get a nice bit of depth of field. I'm going to reduce that in a minute to see what the difference, and I'll show you the difference as well. So we are focused, we are pixel shift, we are steady, half a second, we are a little bit, that's better, half a second, and that's the image. It's quite a nice bit of shadow on it actually, I quite like that. Gives it a bit of depth and shows that it's actually stood up. So just have a quick look at that. There we go, like that, it's quite nice. I'll put it up, let me know what you think. And I'll do another one with a much shallower depth of field, just to see which you prefer. And bearing in mind that this one is, I've focused right on the yellow tip, which is the first pencil in the set. So that's the one I'm focusing on, is that yellow one. The very tip of that yellow pencil. All the rest are blurring and getting out of focus. So I'll take the shot, but it's only really that yellow tip that's in focus. F28, 30th of a second, ISO 100. Using pixel shift. Right, so that's probably it for this week. Leave it there because I want to keep them short anyway. Just a few ideas using coloured pencils, different ways, different things you can do. There are probably thousands of different ways that you can play about with coloured pencils and a macro lens. The ring light is a godsend, it really is a godsend, and I urge you to go and get one if you're going to do macro photography because it's fantastic, it really is brilliant. I've got the white diffused ring on there rather than the white clear ring, and it just, the light is perfect, it really is. So hope you like the images. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Your support is really much appreciated, thank you very much. Share, like, please leave me a comment in the bottom, and I really would like to know what you want to see photographed with a macro lens. So until next week, see you later.